On.
Hello. I must got the wrong button. Oh, I got the right button. Hello. Good morning, you guys. Everything is always so crooked. I always feel like I have to figure out some way to straighten things, but it ain't working. Don't care. So, kind of looks strange with me sitting there staring at and reading things off the telephone. I'm going to figure out some way. Maybe there's a way you can get an angle so it doesn't look like, I'm just talking to you. Otherwise, I should pretend I'm talking to you normally like I am now instead of reading shit off my monitor. But that was really cool. I hope you guys saw some of that information that was in that. You have to realize that none of these things are happening. Once you understand, this is just a manual about ourselves, our bodies. And can you believe that the only thing that we really get out of this is knowledge? It's knowledge, the truth. It's just this idea that that's it. That truth sets you free. Well, we get the idea that that we're no longer running around half-brained. But other than that, what does it tell us? It says it calls us saints now. We're members of the saints. So when you hear the word elect in here, you're the elect because there's not many of those, and it's nothing that we seek when we're dead. We've learned that from the last scriptures that when you die, you won't meet this guy. You just mess all this whole mess up. I mean, you meet it now while you're alive. He is part of the living God. Doesn't have any time for the dead stuff. All right. So, I was looking at cups and stuff like that. Cup is another vessel. And, and we're the cup. We are actually the cup. And the Holy GRAIL, that's you and me. It's all this, they're searching for it outside. It's just you and me, that cup that we drink from. And that spirit and that wine is blood. That's what's inside of us. This is what is inside of us. This is what we give up in remembrance of Jesus and following in his way. And not that this guy was real or anything like that, but the character in this stories is representing you. And he tells you that. In many, many words, tells you that you are the guy. You are this guy. And be it you're female or not, the idea is that this book is meant from the mental, the side of the male side of the mind, and it's the letter, so it's the physical side of stuff. That the female side is not seen, and that it sounds as if the female doesn't get very much credit in this, but she's just hidden. You'll find that this is the making of religion to take out the true religious side of this Bible, or the true spiritual side, because they're the replacement of this. That's why it's considered the whore. And the Bible knows this already. It's not like, hey, did this just creep up on them? No, this is, if you realize, it's age old. It's Sheol. It's the way this world's been for a good long time. And of course, they couldn't just come right out and tell us, right? It had to be hidden. And we found that the very thing that made us sick is the very thing that saves us, which has brought me into thinking about some pretty cool stuff. Like, let's say, like when my tomato plants start getting eaten up by a bunch of these, caterpillars and stuff like that. What do you think I would get, like when people get allergies and stuff around here, we go and get some of the local honey. And we eat this, and this builds up some kind of immunity. So what if I just got these critters, start mashing them up into a little mess, diluted some with some water and squirt them on the plants, let the plants eat them. And then when these guys come back around to chomp on them, they'll say, oh, I could taste my mom, Ooh, they'll say, maybe they'll leave us. But, taking on things that's how a lot of our diseases are taken care of, by giving us a little and building up some kind of immune to it. So it's an interesting thought that in Corinthians it talks, or Corinthians, yes, in the Corinthians, that the idea of, serving you this shit all this time was to show you that the same place is also where you get your saving from. So it's just interesting. So you'll find that it's the carnal. It's written. It's just like for our minds. If you're only one-minded or half-brained, the only thing you can see is the surface. You don't care to go any further because you're missing your spiritual side. And so, but that spiritual side just sitting there waiting for you to wake it up. All right. So we carry nothing over anybody other than if they can't see and they're not able to. It's just not their time. But they do want us to. It seems like at one time it says, be a passerby in this thing, and then the other one is, what can you do? You shine it. You're not going to put it underneath something. You're going to show it. You can't help it. And when I was talking, it's funny. I wanted to relate something the other day with a friend of mine was asked me about this. Real quick. I was on my way somewhere. I found out I wasn't getting paid that day, that the people were on vacations. This was just last Friday. So I wasn't all that happy, but go through this weekend without any money whatsoever. And then it's like, again, man, I worked for that money. I earned it. Except that, for some reason, mine just doesn't ever come through, and I wind up feeling like I'm begging for it. But, money's the root to all evil, so I just said, well, this might be a lesson of some kind. But, in Corinthians, what you'd find is that, what does it say here? I've got one, 1 Corinthians, about the cup. It's, in the same way he took the cup also after supper, saying, this cup is the new covenant of my blood. And do this, you drink this in remembrance of me. This is very interesting. I've been doing that for years. But if you drink from the cup from outside, you're drinking, or you're fornicator is what you are. Oh, I know what I was talking about. It says, my mom looks at me and says, I'm saved. And I say, well, I can't look at people and tell you whether they're saved or not. But there's a pretty good chance that you're part of the 90% of us out here running around dead, Oh, but I got this over with when I was younger. And I said, well, okay, so you did. All right. So, and it was like I said, did you have troubles? Have you gone, do you know what the works are? Do you know what that means? Are you anything to do with any kind of religious thing? No. So I would almost like, and it was like, what? You don't think I'm saved either? And I said, oh, come on. I don't want to get into this. I was just coming out here saying hi, but we can talk about it sometime else. We'll sit down and talk about it. But there's basically, it just doesn't sneak up on you. It's one of those things that you have to set in motion, and you'd know when you did it. You would know it. And so he says, well, I remember when I did. And I said, well, that's great. Well, then you're part of the team. Wonderful. So keep it up. Keep up the good work. you know, that's the kind of shit you're going to get into. If I'm going to get into something, hey, I'm not responsible for that. All I know is that this is what it says to do. Did you do any of this? Answer your own goddamn questions. All right. Did you do any of this? Have you done this? If you answer no, then no, you didn't do it. All right. Is that terrible? No, it's not terrible. Can it be better? Yes, it can. All right. But both sides of this information is important, and don't kill the fucking messenger, God, because he's just telling you how to do it yourself. Why put out all this hatred and meanness on someone who just got some information and wants to share it? It's beyond me, to think of the mentality of these people, But anyways, this is because they're in some kind of fantasy world, So, well, I always think good things. I always do good things. I give my money out, and I did. Oh, it's wonderful, great, wonderful. Shoot, baby, yeah, wonderful, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're part of the kingdom. You're part of the kingdom. Just doesn't work like that. You know, uh, in the Bible, what they call it spotted sheep thoughts. They're still thoughts. They're beautiful thoughts. They're just spotted, is all, and that's only because of where their origin, their origin, where they originate from. If they come from the left mind, it's just the way it is. If you don't have the two connected, then they're not. Then they're spotted sheep. Right? What brings to mind is this vessel, is this idea of the body itself. Number two, the number two is a vessel where it has the container, and it contains something. It's either empty or it's full. Sometimes it's half empty, sometimes it's not. It depends on what we're saying. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. This is this idea that, regardless of where he gets his cup for his drink from, this horse doesn't have to get the truth if it doesn't want it. So, so that's where the trouble comes from, is this horses out here, these horses' asses, and these donkeys. This is this idea and symbolism as being uh, stubborn, unwanting to change. And the idea of following over and over again, doing the same things over and repeating yourself over and over and stuff like that. This is what you're supposed to break, because that's the trance that you're in. Um, but who was that guy? What's his name? Jason? Who had the cup that, I'm pretty sure. Jason, wasn't that him? The Technicolor Dreamcoat? What he did. Did I write any of this stuff down? I don't think I did. It's kind of off the top of my head, talking about cups. What started it all off was, in this Thomas, the book of the Gospel of Thomas. It starts off with Jesus asked, and he's always laughing at these people. He says, "What are you guys doing? What are you doing?" Like, he laughed at that last group because they were doing their thanks and praying over the food. And he says, "Well, why are you laughing at us, Jesus, teacher? Aren't we doing it correctly? Oh, I know that your God is asking for this, but but that doesn't happen. You don't need all that crap, So that's what he was laughing about. But he'd known that they were being done. They were told how to do this on the outside, and believe it or not, none of that stuff helps. You can't anoint yourself. You can't baptize yourself like that. From the outside. You can't go to a priest, get anything. It's said that in this Bible a bunch of times. Jesus asked, "Why do you wash the outside of the cup? Do you not realize that he who made the inside is the one who made the outside?" All right. These are wonderful little parables, but what he's talking about is, just what Buddha would say is that, you make all that effort to clean the outside, but you don't do much to do on the inside. You leave it all a mess. And of course, here in Revelation, the woman clothed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a gold cup full of abominations and unclean things of her immorality. This is where the cup is. It's in the hand. It's always in this hand. It's usually in the right hand. But if you ain't got no right hand, you can still do all of this, You still have this thing called like the ghost arm or ghost hand. If you lose an arm, you can still feel it's still there, Just like with the business of a leaf or a plant. They could cut the end of the leaf off, and in looking at it electronically, parts of what was cut off shows up electrically, almost like an aura of that memory. It's a memory. And, having that kind of thought in my mind when our town was totally clipped over with this hurricane, I was looking around to see if I could get my eyes to see the faint memories of what was there. And I couldn't see it, but it would make for a really pretty picture. And then to explain what that actually means, it's called phantom leaf. But anyway, so we understand that the woman clothed in all that business is this, the whore we're going to drink from. She's going to drink. You're going to fornicate with her because you've gone outside of your own right mind and gone into this other side. And of course, this is that idea of a man sleeping with men. All right. I know I have to go over some of this because sometimes people just hear about, what it means to fornicate, taking your neighbor's wife, and incest and all this business. This is what's all over in the Bible, and none of that stuff means anything to do with sexuality. Even the sodomy, it does not have anything to do with that. It's the idea of taking into a lower situation instead of taking a higher situation, and knowing that the lower situation is a lot of fun, and that it takes discipline to get to the higher side. And a lot of men, we find, don't want to have discipline. That's an evil. Don't want that discipline. Don't want to see any of that stuff. They don't want to give up those things that they really love. And of course, that's why this idea of the thief is brought in, because, if you really want to lose some things, but you're kind of scared. You just don't know what's going to happen. What's going to be left of me after I go through a spiritual bath. I probably won't have nothing left but a toe, a piece of toenail, but I made it through, I made it all the way through. But what was really cool about this is that, we're not looking at, your church. They don't believe in any kind of supernatural crap, right? So, here's this diviner, this guy who reads dreams, This is one of our guys in the book, one of the main dudes. And he uses his cup. He uses his cup for divining. Now, listen to this. This is really cool, all right? I went back there. In Genesis 44, what he did, this is the beginning of 44, which is H. This is a controlling situation, all right? But it's kind of, it's not really on the positive side, although, it all works out to be a positive because he's tricking this guy. He tells them all, this is what he calls them: go fill the men's sack with food, and in the mouths of the sacks, these sacks put their money. Put your money where your mouth is. All these things come from this idea. And in the youngest one, in his mouth, put my silver cup. It's just beautifully written. You have to understand that this is that silver. This is that silver which God drinks from and can, do his prophesying through you. You are this cup. We've always been this cup. And it was also put his corn money in there, because that's, you're going over here. This is life's blood for them, life's food, corn. They're saying that this never been there. This was their main thing. The story that comes from is about famine, because what it means is there'll be some days, there was the 7 cows that were really fat, and these 7 skinny cows came up they rose up. Well, the fat cows rose up first, They looked really happy and really fatted and everything. There's 7 of them, so it was a good thing. And then 7 skinny ones came up, got close to the big ones and ate them all up. Just couple gobbles, ate them all up. But they didn't get fat from it. They stayed thin. So that was, this is one of Pharaoh's dreams. But anyways, what that just sounds like, and what it sounds like, is that sometimes you're going to be wanting to go there, use your Kundalini, but you're going to be busy. You're going to have something going on. There's going to be many things happening that are going to push this away from you. And this is a famine, because you'll go away from this. It's a backsliding, coming down the back instead of going up the back. right? So you don't lose anything, but this idea that if you can store up now, if you can go and get it now, go and store up. So for those times when you don't, when you're just too busy, like I'm constantly, trying to connect, fill up that reservoir, because this is where the seeds and the things are, so that you can go for a little while working, being separated from this. But you get your fill now. That's really what that means. The whole thing about that famine business is that one day you're going to be too busy to do all this, and you'll be glad that you have already planted these seeds and have already started growing your crops, and that this light inside you gets growing every day. Every day it gets something stronger, something happens. We don't even know what we're going to grow into, because, we've been set free out of this box, out of this controlling element of mankind and the trickery of religion, you know. So, when I have to mention, say, fornicating and, screwing around with men and stuff like that, it's age old, it's the way it is. But this idea of enjoying and loving a lower part of us, letting it rule over us, it's a type of a bondage. It's a type of something causing us to, to turn on the porno or to turn this on. But, sex and love and stuff like that, and it's an exchange. It's a beautiful thing. This the only thing that they want you to understand is that it's going to take this loving, beautiful, juicy energy that you make on the inside of you in order to traverse, the spine. It needs that energy. And so, it doesn't mean that you don't do it. It just means, that you save some for us a little bit later. Because he says to these foolish virgins, there's 5 and 5. We've got to go out and buy some more, you know. And you buy that because you're on the body side of things, You become, you're the servant and the slave and stuff like that, or the merchant. The merchant is what you become. So yeah, you got to go buy some more oil so you can get up there. And this time, hold on to it. So we're just talking about vessels ourselves. That's you and me. We've always been this vessel. We've always been this Jesus. We've always been all of those things. And I just thought it'd be fun to have a little Sunday morning conversation, um, showing just more of the word and stuff like that. Now, the story about Judas was an interesting story. You would find, instead of him being the most hated, and they said it would be the most hated guy, because everyone's going to take it literally and see him as doing something wrong. Well, we know that everyone in these stories, if they did not do the code, if they did not follow this code, every one of them could have tripped this story up and ruined the inside part of the story, the truth would never have gotten through if any of those fake characters did not pull their weight and do what they were supposed to do. So it's not really just, Judas. It's not really just Jesus. And it's not really just the outcome. It's the combination of all of those things. And it's hard to find one thing in it that's more important than the other. But then again, if you read it, you'd find that, yeah, you can. And that is you. You're the most important thing on earth. Good morning and best to you. All right, let me see if I can get in there. Oh, yeah. I love you.